Title: Untimely Obligations. Written by Mimi C. There is a substance in the world that a person can hold, but the longer he holds it, the more it disappears. Cyno tells you. What is it? You sit across the table from Cyno, staring back at him while your expression remains unchanged. You don't give him an answer. He sighs before he continues. It's ice, he says. When you don't utter a word, he gives further explanation. The ice melts in your hand, changing back to its liquid form. Your eyes don't move, but he raises his brow when he notices you slightly biting your lip. Perhaps you are still confused. It's still water, but it cannot be called ice anymore, which is why you can claim it has disappeared. He continues to elaborate on the joke, but when he starts getting into the nuisance of properties of water, you burst out into a laughter. I'm sorry, you tell him. I couldn't hold it in anymore. Oh, was this joke successful? Sino continues to cross his arms as you attempt to calm down from your laughter. I didn't want to laugh. I wanted you to keep going. And why is that? You were just really cute when you do that, you say with a grin. Besides, I like hearing your voice. He lets out a scoff and picks up his spoon. His rice is getting cold. Anyway, was that supposed to be a joke or a riddle? Because there's a difference, you know? I thought it was hilarious, he says. Imagine a child holding an ice cube and then panicking it has disappeared 5 minutes later. You should have explained it that way then, you laugh. He crosses his arms and clicks his tongue. Fine. One of his jokes will land someday. Besides, he only told the joke because you seemed sad. So, he was at least successful in lightening the mood. Why did someone have to come and ask about your sister? He should have known better. You slip him a piece of paper and he peeks under it to read your note. It's a lead to the investigation he's currently working on. He looks up to you, and you have a large and expectant grin on your face. Well, aren't you going to say anything? You ask him. He doesn't reply. You know, something like, You were so awesome, sweetheart. Whatever would I do without you? You never miss an opportunity to flirt with him. He puts the piece of paper away before crossing his arms again. Excellent work, he tells you. This will help the investigation move more quickly. Aw, you are no fun, you pout. This is an alternative way you can humor me. He quickly asks another favor of you. And you're a little miffed he didn't play along. Yes, I can do that, you tell him. Her daughter frequents a tavern, and I can casually ask how her family is doing. I am bound to find a few clues from that. You continue to eat your wrap as Sino takes more from his plate. This case needs to be wrapped up quickly. He shouldn't have involved you in this the first place. But why didn't you ask Lambad for help instead? He knows his customers better than I do. You say, I've only been here for a year. He pauses from eating and places his spoon down. Looking into your eyes, he simply says, I trust you. It was years ago, but he still remembers both the painful yet determined look in your eyes. He was in charge of the investigation involving your sister, and yet you told him exactly where she was hiding. It turned into a painful memory for him, seeing you so heartbroken by your sister's crimes. He couldn't help but secretly keep an eye on you over the years. You wouldn't betray your own convictions, he tells you. You are not so easily swayed by your emotions, nor by the others. You widen your eyes, surprised that he made that observation about you. Oh? You ask. Have I captured your interest then? He sighs. You should really get to the bottom of this current case. How have things been at the tavern? He asked, changing the topic. Nothing too eventful, just the same old thing. Gossiping people, students, merchants, the occasional traveler from another nation. More gossiping people, you explain. There's a twinkle in your eye before you continue. Besides, if anyone starts to cause any trouble, I just casually mention that you've been coming here fairly frequently. He has been coming to Lombard's Tavern fairly often to take a break even though he typically prefers solitude. It's nice having a certain strong and handsome guy around, you told him with a teasing grin. Your comment catches him off guard, causing his cheek to heat up as well. He's been putting up a wall between you, but ever so often, you pull a fast one on him. Footsteps approach from the stairs. Cyno grabs his full arm. Cyno, wait! You take his hand. He releases his breath when a person is inside. It's only Lambad, you explain. I just brought up some more food, as requested, he says. Cyno glances at you because he didn't order anymore. It's for you. You mouth the words to him. Anyway, Lambad turns to you. Your break is almost over. You only have 5 minutes left to flirt with Cyno here. Cyno widens his eyes. Just how many people knew about your feelings for him? Although he really shouldn't be surprised by the way you act around him. Should I turn it down? You ask in almost a whisper. Cyno sits back in his seat after Lambad left you two alone again on the second floor. Cyno raises his brow, not understanding your question. With the flirting, you explain. Does it bother you that much to have other people know I like you? You must have read his expression. He can't deny it's been a source of stress for him. You hold your wrap in front of you. Well, then again, I'd probably tarnish your reputation as the great Mahatmatra, you say with lowered eyes, before taking another bite of your food. He watches your face and does not detect any light from you. You truly believe your own words. There is no need for you to dissociate with me, he says. With your character, you wouldn't damage my reputation at all. You choke on your food and he hands you some water. You are almost a bit bashful at his compliment. But when you see he has gone quiet, a smirk tugs on your lip. Does this mean I can keep flirting with you? He scoffs. Of course, you took this as a permission to lavish your feelings on him. You know, you've never told me to stop, you tell him with a grin sneaking onto your lips. He thinks back to past interactions with you and sighs. He knows the reason why he has never asked you to stop flirting with him. Are you actually secretly interested in me? You say with a wink. Cyno rubs his temple. I do think you need to stop flirting with me. What? Well, I. You lower your eyes. I. I think I'll need some time to adjust, so. Just stop until I wrap up this investigation. He grabs his pole arm and leaves the table. I've involved you too much with this case, he says. I need to make sure you are safe first. He already promised himself to look for you once the right people were behind bars. It's only right for you to get a clear answer from him soon. Oh, I see, you say in a lowered voice. Alright, I'll stop until. Sino steps down the stairs and heads toward the door. Wait, what? He places a hand on his forehead. Maybe he shouldn't have mentioned that yet, but it's true. He wants you to stay by his side and keep flirting with him in the future. He just needs to ensure your safety is secured first. Master Tenari? I found a... What's going on here? Several crates of fresh green limes line the table that was typically used for their dinners together. Collei knew that Cyno had invited you to join them today in celebration for finally getting through his tough case. But where was their usual food? You were going to be here any minute. Collei wasn't responsible for preparing the food today, but what if you thought it was her fault that you didn't get a proper meal? She looked at Tainari for answers, but he simply shook his head and sighed. That should be enough, Cyno said after he placed one more crate on the table. This is way too much, replied Tainari. What is she even going to do with all these limes? Make limonade, of course, Cyno said without missing a beat. Collei narrowed her eyes at him, wondering how you put up with his jokes in the first place. She heard you were head over heels for him, but was that really enough to make you indulge in his terrible jokes? No, seriously, what are you even doing this? Asked Tainari. She's going to be here any minute now. Exactly, Cyno replied. I need to make sure this goes as smoothly as possible. Collei knew he had been working non-stop ever since he met with you last at the tavern. The dark circles under his eyes caused her to wonder if he had looked that during his academia days. He didn't look this tired even when his own life was on the line, so what exactly had he been so preoccupied with? Am I at the right place? You said, pushing over the leaf doors and peeking through them. You were just in time, Cyno said. Your face formed a huge grin when you saw Cyno. Did you miss me, sweetheart? You said as you grabbed onto his arm. You called him by a nickname so easily that it baffled Collei to see someone being this sweet with Cyno. The two of you weren't even going out. No, he replied, pushing your hand away. Don't do this yet. Aww, why not? You asked. I've missed you so much. You just left without explaining anything to me back then at the tavern, you said, crossing your arms. I just need to finish something first. That's what you said last time too. You've got me waiting. Don't worry, he answered. I'll finish this swiftly. He picked up the first crate of limes from the long line on the table and dropped it. Several limes bounced out of the crate and rolled along the floor, a few reaching Tainari's feet. He raised his brow and Collei gave a sign of sudden action. What are you doing, Cyno? Asked Collei. Just watch, he replied. He picked up the fruit, inspected it, and placed it back on the floor. He picked up another one, shook his head as if it weren't good enough, and dropped that one on the floor as well. At this point, you were confused too. Weren't we supposed to have a dinner with Tainari and Collei? You asked. That was just an excuse for the real reason I asked you to come, he said. So, what's the real reason? He took another lime from the floor and deemed it worthy before handing it to you. You took it from him, still with no clue what was going on. I don't get it, you said. What do you want me to do with this? Nothing, said Cyno. I was simply looking for the best pickup lime to fish. Nothing, said Cyno. I was simply looking for the best pickup lime to officially ask you out. A bird crowed in the distance. Pickup lime. Get it? Are you trying to get rid of her? Asked Tainari. That joke was horrible. I thought it was great. Seriously? Asked Collei. You lost sleep over setting up this. Your laughter burst through their ears. Oh no, I couldn't hold it in again, you said between laughs. I didn't even get to hear Cyno fully explain the joke. Huh, so this one worked, he said, taking out a notebook. No, stop writing, you told him, grabbing the pen from his hand. Please explain the joke to me. But you already got it. I want to hear it anyway. Wow, thought Collei. They really are perfect for each other. It's just like what Master Tainari said. Even if there was a hint of sarcasm in his tone, they look so happy together. Cyno explained the joke as you wore a huge grin on your face. You must really like him. Aren't you two forgetting something? Tainari asked. You and Cyno paused and exchanged glances. Don't tell me you completely missed the underlying message of the joke, Tainari said with a hand to his forehead. Your eyes widened and you stumbled over your words. Oh. Collei giggled to herself. You didn't think she'd find the two of you to be very adorable. Well, asked Cyno. Do you have an answer? But you already know how I feel about you. I'm officially asking you now, said Cyno. Will you go out with me? You wrapped your arms around his neck. My answer has always been yes.